Okay, in this video, we're going to be looking at the groove to Lime Tree Bay. Now we've got our brushes for this one, and brushes are all about more lateral moves than sticks. Sticks are up and down, hitting drums. Brushes are across the drums and swishing motions. So you'll notice the key at the bottom of the page says stir or swish brush, and that's on 1 and 3. But really we just want to keep that swishing sound going throughout the whole piece on our left hand. So we have a swish with our left hand. Our right hand goes 1, 2, 3, 4, So it's like a swing pattern on our right hand on the snare drum. And we have our hi-hat nice and crisp on 2 and 4. I'll play you that groove. Pay attention to the shape of my left hand. I'm doing small circles to get that swish sound on the snare drum. 1, 2, 3, 4. So notice that my left hand is not going all the way around the snare drum. I'm kind of sectioned it off. So my right hand plays up in this top quarter of the drum, the top right quarter, and my left hand kind of does the bottom section here. Don't get your hands tangled up because then the wires from the brushes can get in the way. So you want to keep your hands nice and separate and nice and light on that right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay? So that's our basic rhythm. That's the brushes rhythm. And now, like I say, the important thing is to get that swishing sound and that movement. You're gonna feel like you're moving your arms too much probably, but that's what you want. All right? Lots of movement and motion in a lateral sense. And once we get to the bottom of the first page, it says to sticks. So you literally just have to put your brushes down and pick up your sticks. This can be a little bit tricky, but what you're gonna want to do first is pick up the right stick. If you've only got time for one, pick up the right stick, because that's what plays your rhythm. And then your left hand is free. So you can put your other brush down, pick up the other stick while you're playing that rhythm. So this just takes a bit of practice, getting used to finishing playing with one and picking up the other at the same time. You can watch my video to see what I've done. I sat my brushes over here. You could sit them on the bass drum. If you have your stick bag, I have my stick bag down here. But I had my sticks ready to go on the floor tom, because we don't play any toms before we get to this part. So you can have it sit on the floor tom, it's not in the way there. And then we're going to take that right hand pattern that we've been playing on the snare drum, and we're just going to move that to the hi-hat. So because our hi-hat's still closing on 2 and 4, it's going to be open on 1 and 3. Again, you want this to be nice and light, so I would use the tip of the stick here and get that really strong like chick sound on 2 and 4 by closing the hi-hat with your foot. So here's what that sounds like. Okay, so the next part of the groove, we move to the right cymbal. Now, all that's written is the right pattern, and the left foot still continuing on 2 and 4, but the right's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. You'll notice at the top of this page it says, right 4, comp and fill as required. What you're going to be doing here is listening to the music, figuring out what's going on. So comping is just to support the other musicians of the band, have a little bit of interaction. If they play something, maybe you mirror what they've played, okay? So a little bit of back and forth between the other band members. But the main thing is our 4 on the ride. So that's every crotchet we want on the ride. And then sometimes we bring in that swing pattern. So it's written here on 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. You can sometimes add that in on beat 2 as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's to keep it driving, okay? And then once we get to letter D, we're adding in our bass drum for the first time and our snare drum. So our snare's on 2 and 4 with the hi-hat, and our bass drum is on 1 and 3. So if we think about what our limbs are playing in a rock beat, our kick and our snare are the powerhouse of what we play. They drive it forward, okay? They're really heavy. That's what weights the beat. Our hi-hat, not so much. But here, with this style of music, jazz, swing style, when we're playing our swing beat, it's not our kick and snare that drive it. It is the right cymbal and the hi-hat, okay? And that doesn't mean to really hit it hard, because our dynamic is still mezzo forte. Just make sure that your bass drum and snare drum are not overpowering the right cymbal. This needs to be the driving force with that chick on 2 and 4 on the hi-hat. So with that in mind, here's what letter D should sound like, paying attention to the balance between the kick, snare, and the ride. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's a more consistent ride pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So that's it for our groove here. The main things to remember, with brushes, it's a more lateral motion, okay? It's not so much up and down hitting the drums, it's moving across the drums to get that swish sound. And the balance when we play our jazz swing groove. It's more the ride cymbal and the hi-hat that should cut through and drive it, as opposed to the kick and the snare. So go practice the groove with all that in mind, and we'll see you in the next video for the fills and structure of Line Tree Bay.